I think this fight has the potential to be really fun, and I think it has the potential to be the best fight of all the 5 title fights.
Welcome back to the Bohnfire podcast, where we talk about the UFC and mixed martial arts with those closest to the fight game. I am your host, longtime MMA reporter and MMA Junkie senior reporter, Mike Bohn. Hope everyone out there is doing well. It has been a minute since I had a show. Haven't done anything since our White House reaction from the Meta Apex the day after UFC 326, which was a lot of fun. But my goodness, has a lot happened since then. A ton of fights announced, championship fights. We're seeing the semblance of this May 16th MVP and Netflix card featuring Ronda Rousey and Gina Carano, Francis Ngannou and Felipe Lins, and then Nate Diaz returning to mixed martial arts against Mike Perry. That is going to be a banger, but a lot going on in the sport, and we are going to talk about as much as we possibly can on today's show, especially the championship tier fights that are scheduled for the UFC right now. It has been a minute since we had 5 UFC title fights on the books. It was a very slow start to the year, of course, as we all kind of expected, a lot being crafted around this UFC White House event. Now that is out of the way, we can get some other fights booked, and there is 5 on the table right now between UFC 327, UFC 328, and UFC White House. And we're going to rank them. We're going to see which ones to us is most interesting to least interesting. Joining me to do so will be UFC analyst, coach, and just overall good guy, Dean Thomas, back on the Bohnfire. And we're going to talk about those championship fights, a little bit of what MVP is doing, Ronda Rousey's push against the UFC, and a little bit more. So I hope you all enjoy what's to come. Very fun conversation with Dean and a lot to go over here. So sit back, relax, throw a like, subscription, comment, anything you can do to help support the show in the meantime. And I'll be back on the other side of the break with Dean Thomas. Back on here on the Bohnfire with a very familiar face and coach analyst, Dean Thomas. Dean, what's up, brother?
What's going on, man? What is going on? I'm happy to be home, man. I had a long week last week, man. UFC BJJ, the fight night, it was crazy for me last week. I'm just happy to be home.
Yeah, I think I just had a crazy past hour or so. As the people will see, my shirt is different than the intro one I had on. I just had a friend visit, and their baby threw up all over me. So that was fun.
Oh, that sounds tasty.
Yeah, so that was my weird moment of the day. But yeah, you were busy. You were out there, obviously, at UFC Vegas 114. Huge win for my fellow Canadian Jillian Robertson against Amanda Lemos. That was a great
man.
one.
It was tough, man. We know it was going to be a tough fight. I mean, it got postponed the first time, but we know it was going to be a tough fight. It was as tough as we expected it to be. But I told her, if you want to be a champion, you got to take the tough ones. You got to be able to win the tough ones. And for me, that was a precursor to Weili Zhang. Like if she happens to fight Weili Zhang, you're going to need that type of physicality and know how to deal with that. So I was glad to see her get through that one. And but where Weili Zhang, who knows where she's at right now, but we're just happy to get through that one and on to the next one.
Yeah, I mean, any ideas what the next one will be? She obviously called out Mackenzie Dern, who is currently the champion. So,
for sure, that's the one we want. But obviously, Mackenzie's got the belt right now, but Weili's eventually going to come back. So, so whether it's Mackenzie first and then maybe a Weili after that, but right now it looks like we're shooting for Mackenzie right now, but we ready for them all.
Yeah, we need to have like her fight Mackenzie. If we can get Eamon Zahabi to get a win over Sean O'Malley, we can have maybe like a Canadian title fight card in Canada. That's what we need.
Yeah, man. And then, what I'm saying? Mike Malott on the come up too, man. Canadians is on the come up.
We are, yeah. I just spoke to Charles Jourdain not that long ago too. He's the co-main event in Winnipeg. So
love it.
We're in a good spot right now. Yeah, Dean. Well, before we get into our rankings of the upcoming title fights, there's some stuff in the news that I wanted to go through. I think the biggest like non-UFC thing is obviously this card Most Valuable Promotions and Netflix are putting together. Obviously looking pretty nice right now. The top 3, Ronda Rousey, Gina Carano, Francis Ngannou, Felipe Lins, and then the one they just added, Nate Diaz and Mike Perry. I'm not sure where we want to start. Let's start with Diaz and Perry, just because that's like the newest thing. Were you surprised to see this pop up, like Nate Diaz fighting MMA again and not in the UFC?
Yeah, I was very surprised, and not surprised that he's fighting in MVP, but I was surprised to see him fight again. I found out because a buddy of mine was on a cruise ship and he had taken a picture with Nate and said, Nate is fighting Mike Perry.
Okay.
And I said, nonsense. That's total BS. And then I opened up the my web browser and that was the first thing I saw. So yeah, so I apparently it's true. You know what? Like it's good for MMA. It's good to have, Nate Diaz back. And I'm so happy for Mike Perry. Know Mike Perry a long time. I'm hoping that he can just keep getting paid and keep having a career and keep making money. Listen, I'm a fighter friendly type of guy. And anytime fighters can make some money, I'm happy for them, especially when they're my friends. So I'm happy that this fight is being made, and hopefully those guys go in there and put on a good show and come out healthy.
Yeah, how do you think that goes? Because Mike Perry hasn't fought in MMA in 5 years. I don't know how much focus he puts on the ground game. Obviously, his hands have become very dangerous from the bare knuckle and the boxing matches. And then Nate Diaz, obviously, 40 plus. He's had a lot of wars. This will be a 5 rounder. He hasn't fought MMA in a bit. Like, I don't even know how to get a read on this fight.
Yeah, but Nate Diaz has a style that is like perfect for this type of situation. He's got a style that I think with the Diaz brothers style, it's an old school style. It's a generation I come from. And these guys will fight no weight class, no time limit. And I think 5 rounds suits him. Um, I think that Nate has the ability to drown Mike Perry. If Mike Perry can't put him away early, which is going to be tough because, Nate is so durable. We don't know what he's got left, but I'm assuming he's still got something left in him. I mean, he looked good his last fight. We saw him against Tony Ferguson. He looked great in that. He's looked good in the streets in the fights. So, but I think Nate has the ability to take Mike Perry into some deep waters and possibly get him lost a bit. So,
Mm.
I'm predicting Nate Diaz to possibly get it done later in the fight.
Yeah, maybe like a fourth, fifth round submission
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah.
uh,
Fourth, fifth round because Nate he's not only is he durable in game, but he's also really smart. And when you give him enough time, he's not going to stand and trade if he doesn't have to. Like, believe it or not, like he's adorable, but he's the type that's going to pull guard and he's gonna just really make it difficult for Mike Perry the longer this fight goes. As long as he doesn't take too much punishment and get knocked out early, he's going to pull guard, he's going to clinch, he's going to do all kind of stuff. Like let's not forget, man. Like when Leon Edwards was in his prime, he snapped on Leon Edwards in that last round. So like Nate Diaz is the type of guy that just won't go away, and I think that he's going to be able to pull this off.
yeah, I'm just curious because we think about those moments, but that's like 4 or 5 years ago at this point. So it's just
It
like,
is, it is, but he has. It's not like he's been fighting and taking damage since then. And like I said, he has a style that wasn't based on athleticism. It
mhm,
was based on his skill, his body type, and his willingness to be in these type of fights. So when you have a style like that, it lasts a little bit longer.
yeah,
He's not relying on jumping around and high flying activity. His style was based on being slow and methodical and catching you. And if he can stay safe and not get hurt too bad, he can win this fight.
yeah. I think it's a great fight. I mean, this is, if you're an MMA fan, like must watch stuff. And I think it kind of pushes this card over the edge a little bit because maybe you're like Ronda Rousey, not my thing, bad taste in my mouth. Francis Ngannou, this is a mismatch. Like, he's going to be a huge favorite against Felipe Lins. Like, I could see why maybe you were not all in on this, but with this fight added, I feel like, on May 16th, if you have Netflix, you got to pull this up and at least give it a try.
Yeah, it legitimizes the card in a way to the point where you go, okay, it's not just a circus, right? Like the other fights are cool. Like Francis is going to do his thing, and and Felipe too. Again, he's another friend of mine.
Mhm.
I've worked with him in the past, and I'm so happy to see him. Hopefully, to make some money off of this. But this legitimizes it in terms of okay, man, this is what some fight fans of the current day kind of want to see, man, because Mike Perry's been active, and anytime you can get a Diaz brother inside any type of environment fighting, we want to see that. So I think this really legitimizes that card.
Yeah, what do you think of just in general what they're trying to do here? Like, I don't know, all these fights, like you said, I feel like it's watchable. I don't know what it's leading to. It's obviously not setting up future matchups. So for one night, I think it's going to be awesome to watch and like a
Yeah, for
great
sure. I
thing.
mean,
But
and that's the one. Yeah, and that's the one thing we can't lose sight of. And I think a lot of people are losing sight of this. They're like, "Oh man, we know we got some competition." Da da da. Competition is great. I'm all for it. I'm all for good MMA. But let's not lose sight of this. I mean, if MVP, if they start putting on a bunch of shows, even if they did one show a month with talent like this, good. But you can't just jump off the box and be like, hey, listen, we got a show now with one card. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's see what you're doing after that. Let's see what comes next.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what you're gonna do next. Let's see how many of my other friends can you hook up? Because you know what I'm saying, like Felipe Lynn, like how many of my other friends can you hook up and give a bag to? That's what it's really about, is really creating something sustainable that these guys can live off, not just these one-offs.
For sure. And I mean, everyone who's on this card is going to be, you know, I suspect compensated very well. Everyone's out there saying this is going to be great paydays. So that's awesome. But you just wonder, like, how much of the success of this, how the fights go, like, is going to play into Netflix wanting to keep doing this. And like you said, how many of those other friends of yours even exist outside the UFC that are worth pursuing and giving that type of money to? Like, you know, they got 3 great ones here. If you were to say, build a card with people who are not in the UFC, you would want Nate Diaz, you would want Francis Ngannou, you would want Ronda Rousey. Who are the other ones? That was the question.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying too. And that's another thing too. Like, what's the rest of this card? What's the rest of this? Not even talking about what their next card looks like, but what's the rest of this card? What does that look like? I mean, how many fights are you going to have on it? What does it look like? Who else is going to benefit from this? So, again, like if we're all, you know, gonna go to bat for fighters here, let's go to bat for all the fighters, not just those 6 guys at the top of the marquee, but everybody else on the card. Who else is getting hooked up here?
Yeah, it'll be curious to see how they fill it out, if they're able to like lend fighters from a one championship or a PFL or anything like that, or just if they have to sign people who are free agents, which I think makes it trickier. But I think the other big piece of this is the way they're building it and trying to promote it. I mean, they had that press conference last week. It's 35 minutes of them sitting on the stage, basically just shitting on the UFC and Dana White and Hunter Campbell, more so than like promoting their actual fights. And Ronda Rousey's very much putting her flag in the ground here, anti-UFC. It's like every tweet, Hunter Campbell, I'm coming for your ass, coming for your job, like all this stuff. What do you just make of Ronda's tact and everything she's taking in her approach towards this comeback?
Well, she needs to cut that out. You know, that's nonsense. Cut that out. I mean, it doesn't make her look better. It doesn't make her look good. It doesn't make her look better. I mean, at one point in the world, thanks due to the UFC, she was the biggest star on the planet. You know, she was the biggest star on the planet thanks to the UFC. And now she can't turn around and crap all over the UFC because it's not working out. That's not fair. So let's not do that. That's not fair. So, you know, my recommendation is this. If you can foresee the future, if you're a young fighter and you can foresee the future, and if you think there is a chance where you think you're going to crap on the UFC, just don't sign with the UFC now. Just run your own promotions, pay yourself what you want, get big, you know, promote yourself and get really big. If you're that good, you'll beat everybody and you'll be the superstar that you think you are. And that's my recommendation. If you think that you got the potential to be a big star, go do it on your own. Don't use the UFC, because if later on the line you want to crap on the UFC for not taking care of you, you know, that's not fair. So just do it on your own.
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously, you know, one piece of advice. I'm just curious, like, why? I mean, we know why. She said that she brought this to the UFC and they didn't want to compensate her the way she felt she was going to be, because she was claiming this was going to be the last pay-per-view ever, and it was like the best pay-per-view split they've ever offered a fighter, and then it just didn't work out. And I don't know. It's
Well, come on, man. Like,
you don't believe?
you know, well, no, I mean, I don't know what happened in negotiations. I don't really care what happened in negotiations. I just know that right now, a fight between her and Gina Carano is exactly what it is. It's a circus fight. It's not a fight with any type of, you know, major implications as to current MMA. So, like, why would the UFC really want that?
Yeah, they did seem interested a little bit, and it just didn't work out. But I understand what you're saying. Like, it's not fully what they do, but it's Ronda Rousey, and if you can make a deal work with, you know, the legend, then you at least try to do it. But
I can see them at some point entertaining the idea, but I don't think that they would. Why would they want to bend over backwards when, you know, at the end of the day, there is a certain integrity that I think the UFC still holds dear to the heart, and that is, you know, we are trying to make the matches that people want to see, and this is a fight that everybody wants to see, but at the same time, not at the expense of of what it really is, and that is, we're trying to have the best fighters. So there is some crossover in all of that, but at the end of the day, I'm sure they're not really going to bend over backwards for a fight like this.
That's fair. Final thing on this, a little prediction. What do you think Dana White's tone is going to be in response to all this? Like when the fight was made, he was like, good for them. I'm happy for them. But now she's going in a little deeper. She's like, Dana White's just an employee. Even he hates the White House card, but he gets forced to, do this. He doesn't have the overall say. He wishes things could be done differently. It's all Hunter Campbell, all this stuff. Like, how do you think Dana's just going to blow it off? Is he going to shoot a couple shots back? Like, how do you think this pans out?
I don't think, if we've known anything about Dana, and I don't know if he's just gotten more mature, but he seems to not engage in this stuff anymore.
Mr. Eddie Hearn.
Yeah. He could have his guns pointing in so many different directions. So I think that these battles, he's just going to be like, it's whatever. We're going to do our thing. We're going to do our thing. I just saw Dana over the weekend, at the event, UFC 114. And I've been in Vegas for a week, man. They had Zuffa Boxing, UFC BJJ, had one event, another event in London coming. So, I don't think Dana has a lot of time to be fighting and arguing with these dudes when he's got so much going on. And maybe they should take a page out of his book and focus on what their product is, as opposed to trying to fight all these little battles and throw mud at people.
Sure. Yeah. I agree with that. Doesn't seem it's going to be the way it's going to go, because I do think, and this is, trying to say this with no bias or anything, but how else can they promote this, right? This is how you get yourself in the headlines. This is how you get the media to pick it up. You throw dirt on the UFC and bring up Dana's name and get those in headlines and stuff. The UFC doesn't have to do that, right? Like, and I'm sure the last thing Dana wants to do is do a big speech that they can talk about for 20 minutes at the next press conference and do interviews about. Like, you're just giving fuel into this. And again, it's tougher, maybe Diaz versus Pereira aside, to promote these fights on the merits of the significance to rankings or titles or anything like that. So this is the direction people have to go. And this is not anything new. Like, people did this. Bjorn Rebney did this in Bellator. Don Davis tried this a little bit with PFL. Like, the easiest way to build yourself up is to try to put yourself next to the UFC and tear them down.
Yeah, but and I don't know why I would expect more from them. But you would think some people grow out of that. I guess no one is above it. No one is above to slinging mud to try to make themselves look better. But come on, man, let's grow out of that, man. Focus on your own thing and just be good at what you do.
Yeah, and I think if they continue to take that tact, I mean, the fight's basically 2 months away today. It's eventually going to lose its luster and be like, okay, can we get on to a different talking point here? So we'll see how that goes.
I know one thing in terms of the Ronda Gina fight, it better be a great fight. Because for all the nonsense for all the nonsense she's talking, Gina's been very mature about this. But for all the nonsense Ronda's been talking, she better come out with some heat. Because if she come out with no heat, oh man, she's gonna have to eat that too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fascinated by that part too, because we talked about this a few months ago, and this was all rumored, like the stuff she said about her brain injuries and couldn't like take a jab without seeing stars and things like that. She claims she found some sort of fix and neurological solutions, and she's all good now. Remains to be seen. We'll see what happens when she gets hit by a clean punch, if she does get hit by a clean punch by Gina Carano. So there we go. We'll have more time to talk about that, Dean. A couple months away still, but let's get into it. Fights we do have set, fights that are of the highest level for world championships. Finally, 5 UFC title fights on the menu for the next couple months here. I think last time we spoke, there was 0 title fights. It was just an interim and a BMF fight. So here we are. 1 interim title fight is in the group, but our 5 title fights upcoming, our co-main event of UFC 327, April 11th in Miami. Joshua Van, his first title defense against Tatsuro Taira. Headlining that card is Jiri Prochazka versus Carlos Ulberg for the vacant light heavyweight championship. And then UFC 328, one we've been waiting for a while, it feels like. Sean Strickland challenging Khamzat Chimaev for the middleweight belt, May 9th in Newark. And then, of course, on to the UFC White House event. Co-main event of that is Alex Pereira versus Ciryl Gane for the interim heavyweight title. And then the main event, Ilia, Topuria, and Justin Gaethje unifying lightweight belts. There can only be one, Dean, one undisputed champion at lightweight. Okay, I asked you rank these in terms of like your I guess, least interested to most interested in? This is not, criticizing any of them. This is just, your personal preference of what you're most interested in, and something has to be last. So it's kind of the way it goes. They're all great fights, all great matchups. I guess first to you, before we get into what you have at the bottom of your list of number 5, was this a difficult exercise for you? Did you find it quite easy just looking at them? What did you think?
No, this was pretty easy for me. Looking at this, it was really kind of easy for me to rank these. I didn't have to think too long and hard about it. Just looking at them on paper, I was like, "Yup, yup, yes, okay, wait, okay, no, that's better, yeah." And it was pretty easy for me, and I don't think I'm going to change my mind on any of these, regardless of what you say. Even though I will be hard pressed to believe that you have it exactly the way I have it.
Well, we're going to find out. So let's change it up a little bit this time. I want to go through yours just one by one. And at the end, I'll reveal my list and see how it compares, just so we don't have to do some, mixing and matching if some
Okay,
fights are out of order, just so we can go through them all clean.
for sure.
Okay, let's start. What was your number 5 most anticipated championship fight? So the bottom of your list.
My number 5 at the bottom, and I'm glad you prefaced it the way you did, because I almost felt bad about calling this the least, because somebody had to be 5th. But I'm going to go with Jiri Prochazka and Carlos Ulberg as my number 5. I think I mean, while it's a great fight, you got to love the way Jiri fights, and Carlos Ulberg has definitely deserved this spot. But then there's just something about the fight where you just go, it's only happening really because Alex left the belt on the table. But it's still a great fight. But there's something about it that just makes it feel like a number 1 contender fight. Still a great fight. Yuri's still the man. Carlos Ulberg deserves this shot, but somebody had to be 5th, and this was my 5th.
Yeah, that was kind of my thinking towards this fight. It's the first thing that comes to mind. It is like, I know, and we have an interim title fight on this list. So, and like another weird one where the champion only lost the belt because he got an injury, and we're like just moving on to 2 other guys. But the Alex Pereira just aura looms over this division and this fight. I don't know how you get rid of that, if he'll be gone by the time we get to fight night. Like, we've got this a lot in the past few years, right? Like Topuria versus Oliveira, you kind of feel like Islam Makhachev is truly the best lightweight. Same with Volkanovski versus Diego Lopez 1. It's like Ilia Topuria just knocked one of these guys out not that long ago. So there's always like this cloud that hovers over fights like this. Is that kind of the biggest stink on it, I guess, is just feeling like this isn't truly for the best light heavyweight in the world. And we just saw one of these guys lose twice to Alex Pereira.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not even really that. It's just the matchup. It's not a matchup that was like lingering around for a while. Neither. You're just kind of like, I mean, it's a great fight, but it's not like there's a history between the guys. So if there was some history, I think that it would sell it a little harder. But there's no history between these guys. It's just it just seems like the next logical step for the division, because Alex is moving up. So
yeah, in light of that, do you feel like is Carlos Ulberg winning the best case scenario for the division? Because at least you can be like, Alex Pereira never fought me, I never lost to him, I've beat everyone else 9 in a row, as opposed to like Jiri, we're awesome, we love
no,
you,
I
we
don't.
feel happy for you, but you're clearly
No,
not.
I don't think so. I think Jiri Prochazka being champion is always going to be good for the UFC if he's champion. He's one of them type of guys that you're just going to love him no matter what. And not that you're not going to love Carlos Ulberg. It's just he's quietly made his way into this spot to be fighting for this. I mean, he's won a gang of fights in a row and looked great every time doing it. He's very marketable, good looking guy, represents a part of the world that could use a champion. But there's just something about it that it's just missing something, right? And I'm not exactly sure what that is, but I do think that Jiri being champion just feels like the right thing.
Yeah, no, I
He's got that aura about him that just feels like, yeah, we want him, like we kind of like him as champion. And I just feel that way about Jiri. Like he's just got that champion aura about him.
yeah, and he's so loved. I mean, what more could you ask for out of a fighter? He embraces the unique style personally and fight style and all that. So he's great. I was just looking at the rankings, being like, I wonder who the winner of this will fight. It's kind of grim. Like,
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It's like because Alex isn't there, it's like logically the next step, next 2 guys, because there's no one else.
Yeah.
And
And I look at who is after that. I mean, Magomed Ankalaev is still ranked number one. I don't think they're going to be rushing to put him into a title fight off a loss, so he should get back to work. And then you got Khalil Roundtree off a couple losses, Jan Blachowicz, who's scheduled to rematch Bogdan Goskov in Newark. And then is Azamat Mirzakhanov versus Paulo Costa on that same card? Is that a title eliminator? It may very well be. I honestly don't know.
yeah, it's so part of the lack of enthusiasm and excitement about the fight perhaps has something to do with the division as well. Just
Yeah.
like just the total division as well. It just doesn't really make it seem all that exciting compared to the other matchups.
Yeah, but I mean, in terms of a fight itself, talking about all the Alex Pereira stuff gone, I mean, this is sensational. Jiri Prochazka is a banger every time. Carlos Ulberg on this long winning streak, he's not going to be shooting for takedowns out there, so this feels like it's going to be, a kickboxing fight in 4-ounce gloves for the most part.
And yeah, and Yuri's one of my favorite guys to watch because he's
Incredible.
so spontaneous and just unpredictable, and you don't know what's coming next from him. And he seems to, like, when he's on, like, he's really on. And I don't know if there's another fighter currently like this where when he's in the zone you can feel it. Like
Yeah.
you're watching it and you can kind of feel like,
Like
yo,
in
that's what
round three versus Khalil.
yeah, you're like, yo, that's what the zone looks like.
Yeah.
Like in real time, like you like, yo, that's what it looks like. And Jiri has that ability, which is why he's one of my favorite guys to watch.
Yeah, he's incredible. So that is the main event of UFC 327. Okay, Dean, let's move on. What did you have at number 4 on your list?
And I think this one, and this was the one I think that might surprise people, but I'm going Alex Gane in this one.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I'm going Alex Gane in this spot here because, while I think, Alex, how can you not love watching Alex fight? Like he's carried the UFC on his back for almost 2 years, and he's done such great things. And the fact that he's moving up is incredibly noble. And he's taken on Ciryl Gane, who is a legit heavyweight that I think stylistically presents problems to him. Um, and I think it's a great fight, but it's just something had to be at number 4. And there's something about it that just, and it might just be, again, maybe that lingering Tom Aspinall effect over the whole thing. Like Tom watching from the sidelines, watching two guys fight for his position. I don't want to say his belt, but his position. And I think something about that might kind of weigh it down a little bit from rising up a little higher for me.
Okay. Yeah, I'll reveal it then. I definitely had it higher than this, but I understand your reasoning there. I'm just fascinated by this fight. Obviously, Alex Pereira going up to heavyweight is something that's been long discussed. And I guess the big thing is, like, is he going for history? Is he not? It's the interim belt. Like, if he wins this fight, are you going to consider him the first 3-division UFC champion, or does he have to get
I would.
undisputed?
I would.
Yeah.
I would. Like, yeah, I absolutely would.
Even though it's interim.
Even though it's interim. I mean, like interim, like yes, like the difference is just putting a word in front of it. But it's like Ciryl Gane is still champion. Well, and that's another thing too, right? What we have to find out is Ciryl Gane championship level material. Like skill wise, I do believe he is, but mentally and just emotionally and with his entire being, is he championship level material? And that's what we want to find out because we seen him lose against Francis, and he went in the fight, but just made the silly mistake at the end. And then we saw him completely lay an egg against John Jones. And that's not championship level material, but he's seemed to have matured into it. Now, when he was fighting Tom Aspinall, he showed championship level material fighting, even though it was a little dirty. And that's another thing. Can he fight cleanly with championship level material behind him? And that's what I want to see from him. But because he hasn't really shown that in the past, again, that kind of, for me, knocks it down a bit.
Yeah. This got to be Cyril's last crack at a title, right? Like this will be his 5th chance at an interim or undisputed. He won the interim one against Derek Lewis, but the rest is being, no contests or losses. I know the division is thin and I know it's rough, but like, I can't imagine a world where he gets a 6th chance if he loses this.
Yeah, and that too, we just spoke about it with the first fight. Again, when the division is rough, it just makes it look like the title fights aren't as exciting because the rest of the division is rough. So it almost looks like, well, who else is there to fight for this except for these two guys? So there is a little bit of that involved in this fight. But again, I don't want to take anything away from the fight because, like I said, Alex is probably going to go down as the greatest fighter we've ever seen if he can pull this off. Ciryl Gane is an absolute stud, and he's capable of being great. He hasn't really done that and showed us that yet in the big moments. So because he hasn't showed us in the big moments, that's why I'm not putting this higher. He hasn't done that, but he has the potential to do that now.
Yeah. And I mean, for him, you got to love this matchup more so. I like it on both ends. If you're Ciryl, this feels like a break from a John Jones or Tom Aspinall who have the bigger ground threat. You can, fight your fight more so than any of the other ones. And then for Alex, I think this is a perfect introduction to heavyweight, right? Like it's not too much against Jones, against Aspinall. I would have put him as the underdog in both those fights. But this one, I could see him. It's a pick 'em, or maybe he's the favorite.
Yeah, I almost feel like it's a pick 'em because it's really hard to determine because there's not a lot of crossover. There's you're not really looking at common opponents or anything like that, or even like styles. You were not even looking at common styles that they fought. Like, who has Alex fought that moves like Ciryl Gane? Like, we don't even know how. I mean, maybe we can go back to his kickboxing days and see something, but we haven't seen it in MMA. And then for Ciryl Gane, like, we haven't seen him face a guy quite like this, right? And the only thing that we've seen him face that was similar to this, it's not in style, but it's in aura, John Jones, and he completely folded. So it'll be interesting to see what happens on fight. And this is in the White House too, man. So that's another factor for Ciryl Gane that I'm a little concerned with because if he can't deal with like being at the White House and fighting a big fight like this, then man, like he just he's not built for this.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great opportunity for him, right? Like he should not be in this spot, but Tom Aspinall's health precludes it all, and it's just it's a very fortunate thing here. So we'll see if he can maximize the opportunity. The last compelling thing, I guess, around this fight, and Alex Pereira, I don't know if you saw yesterday, he told Ariel Helwani he signed a new 8-fight contract with the UFC, which is an interesting move. I think at like 38 or so. His quote was, "So the steal that they gave to me, I don't care about letting go of the belt at light heavyweight or anything like that. They took really good care of me. The way they gave me this last contract was so good that I left it up to them to do whatever I want." So he seems very pleased with this deal. 8 fights is a lot though to sign at this point.
Well, I mean, it's for him. It's a life term sentence,
Yeah.
and that's fine. And that's fine. I just hope because all these fighters do this is they sign a new deal, and then in a year from now they be like, "Yo, man, I need a new deal." Yep. They sign a new deal and be like, "Yo, man, I want to give a shout out to Dana and Hunter for the new deal. They don't hook the brother up. You know what I'm saying? I'm taking the whole squad out to Red Lobster." And then in a year, they be like, "Yo, man, I need a new deal." Yo, come on, man. Like, yo, let's be fair. So I'm just hoping that he's fair. But like, I hope that he got $100 million a fight. That's what I'm hoping that he.
Yeah,
And I hope he
don't think it quite hit at that point, but if he could get like 7 figures, I think that would be a big win for him. But we'll see what happens here. Yeah, man, that's fascinating. What interests you more, Pereira versus Tom Aspinall in a unifier, or the grudge match with Aspinall and Gane too?
Pereira.
Yeah.
And yeah, and Tom. That's a more fascinating fight.
Yeah.
Again,
And
like
actually,
I think they're big game players.
yeah, and I misspoke there too, because if Ciryl Gane loses this fight, he might only, and Tom Aspinall wins the unifier. You damn well know if he gets one win, they're putting that rematch together with Tom Aspinall. So a 6th title shot might be in his future. Actually, I backtracked on what I said because
you never know, man. Especially if there's no other heavyweights. Which it doesn't look. Yeah. We don't think. I mean, unless Josh Hokett come through and be the man who he says he is.
Yeah, that's true. He's got a big fight against Curtis Blades coming there. And then, yeah, just looking at this division, not Waldo Cortez Acosta and Alexander Volkov are fighting in Newark. So that's a fight that could have some impact on the title picture. I think Sergey Pavlovich is booked against Tolishin Teixeira. That one should be tough night for Tolishin, but yeah, we'll see how this all goes. There's some things finally happening at heavyweight. We have that title fight on the White House. Okay, Dean, number 3, who you got?
I'm going Taira versus Joshua Van. And I wish I could have put this higher. And I think that, some of the reasons I spoke about why those first two fights were a little lower, like this has it. I mean, we got Taira, who I think is just an amazing fighter, an amazing competitor, super skilled, good everywhere. The one loss he had, we've seen him grow from that against Brandon Royval. We've seen him grow from that, and he just looks like an amazing fighter right now. Then we have Joshua Van, a man who's willing to step up and fight anybody at any given time. And he might not, and he's probably not the best guy in the division, but he's willing to stand there and prove it time and time again against anybody. And I love that about him. And I think that what really makes this fight so compelling for me is that the division is strong. The division is super strong. Like right now, flyweights is as healthy as it's ever been in the existence of the entire division.
Mm-hmm.
So when we got that, and then these two guys who, well, Van has the belt, and Taira might be the best guy, but we don't know because we got Manel Kopp, and we got and we got
Yoji Horiguchi.
Pantoja, and we got Kyoji. But this is the fight to make, and I'm happy with it. And it could have been any of the other guys, but I'm happy with this. So, and I'm really looking forward to how this turns out because we'll find out if Van is who he says he is. I know Taira is who he says he is, but we'll find out if Van is who he says he is.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you can get a historic UFC title fight like this, it's must-watch viewing. The first title fight between two athletes born in the 2000s, so this is truly the new era, the next era of mixed martial arts with this fight between Joshua Van and Tatsuro Taira. So I can't wait for it on that side of things. And yeah, I think the only knock you can really make on this fight is like, is it really the best two guys? Pantoja, I assume things aren't moving along as quickly as he wants them to, given that they booked this fight and no one's waiting or anything. So that kind of hangs over it a little bit. But man, like these two modern era guys, it's going to be very high level. The clash of styles, like it's a lot of fun, this fight. But yeah, you just wonder, like the division is so good and so healthy, except for the guy who might be the very best.
Well, and that's why I'm not knocking it for that, because from the eye test, I'm not sure Pantoja's the best. You know what I'm saying? Like I think Manel Kopp has the ability to beat him. I think, and I'm not saying he would beat him. I'm saying he has the ability to. I think Kyoji has the ability to beat Pantoja. I think all them guys have the ability to beat him, which is why I think this fight is so great. And I'm not knocking it because I don't think it's like a consolation prize. I think it's very fair, very fair. And Pantoja might be the best, but I'm not 100% sure of that, which is why I'm not knocking this between these two other guys fighting for the belt.
Yeah, and I think that's totally reasonable. But if he's not the best, I'd like to see it be taken from him in the cage, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Someone
He
needs to
deserves
prove it and beat him. And
when he comes back, he deserves the fight. He shouldn't have to. He shouldn't have to wait 1 week later than when he's ready to come back and fight for his belt. Because even though this is for the belt, I do think Pantoja deserves a fair shot.
is it going to be weird if Taira wins to have Pantoja coming back and challenging him? I mean, Taira winning would be historic as well. The first Japanese-born UFC champion, which is crazy to think about that we've been here for over 30 years and not had one. But that would be obviously monumental for him. And maybe you set up a Horiguchi fight in Japan or something. If you could pull that off, that'd be obviously a huge deal for the sport. But there's no heat between Taira and Pantoja. Like I think a lot of people, they need that situation resolved between Van and Pantoja, and there's a chance we don't get it anytime soon.
Yeah, you know what? I think that injury was so weird and so fluky, and it's not like they had beef with each other. It was just a weird situation that I'm not even all that interested in seeing that. To be honest with you, I don't really, with there's so many other guys, and the division is so healthy right now that I'm not even all that interested in even matching them back up. So if Taira wins this belt, like let's just move on with Pantoja and Taira
Yeah.
if Pantoja can come back soon enough. So I don't think there's enough bad blood between Van and Pantoja, or even enough history between them two. For Pantoja, it was just like, yo, next man up, let's go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Your early lean on this fight. How do you think it goes?
I think Taira wins this fight.
Wow. Like
Yeah, I do.
submission?
I
Do you
think.
think he's just superior on the ground? Is Van going to have a
Yeah,
hard time
I
keeping
mean,
off him?
again, like you can't take away from Van's, determination and his heart, but he's a young guy, and you expect young guys to just be, you know, a bit ignorant to to what's going on, and to threats, and to just, ignorance is bliss, especially when you're really young.
Mhm.
And I just have a feeling that, man, and he's only been doing this for like 6 years.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like he hasn't really been in there and experienced some of the moments that I think that he's going to really grow from, and really become a truly great martial artist. I think he's accomplished so much in a short amount of time that I think it's kind of surpassed how good of a martial artist that he could actually be. And I think he's still got a lot of learning to do. And I think that he hasn't learned it yet. And I think this is a fight where he might learn it.
We shall see. That goes down at UFC 327 in Miami. K Dean, your number 2 spot goes to who?
Ilia and Justin Gaethje.
Okay. We
Ilia and
will.
Justin Gaethje. I think that because no matter the outcome, it's going to be good regardless. It's the right fight to make. We got the undisputed champion in lightweight versus the interim lightweight champion. So that's the right fight to make. There's no complaints about that. And then no matter how this shakes out, now obviously everybody's looking at this fight, and I've seen the memes that are like, "Oh man, Justin Gaethje better bring a gun." Da 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 da. And yeah, it's very possible that he could get knocked out early. And if that happens, guess what? It's gonna be good. It'll be good. We'll all celebrate the knockout. We'll be like, "Oh my goodness!" But what I believe is going to happen, I don't think he gets knocked out as early and as easy as everybody else suggests. I think he makes this a little tougher. I think he puts up a good fight. And if that happens, it's going to be great. And that's what I'm looking forward to. Can Justin, and if not even pull it off, like he might even pull this off. He might pull off a Rocky. But regardless, I think that between him and Trevor Whitman, they formulate some sort of game plan that, one, keeps him safe early. He doesn't fall into too many traps and take too many big shots. I think he mixes in some wrestling a little bit. I think he chops at the legs a little bit. I think he makes this interesting. And then at some point he can't help himself but to just go balls to the wall and make this really fun to watch. So I think this fight, regardless of what the odd makers have it and what we think it, because of how good we know Ilia is, I think this fight has the potential to be really fun. And I think it has the potential to be the best fight of all the 5 title fights.
Yeah, I mean, Justin Justin Gaethje in any fight is a pretty good hedge on that. It's going to be one of the best of any card, whether he gets flatlined or does the flatlining. Did you, before we get a little more into that, right choice to headline UFC White House? Like when you saw this announced, do you think?
Yeah. There's no doubt about that. There's no doubt about that. This is, with everything going on right now, this was the right choice to make. And I think we sometimes forget that. I think everybody was like, oh, White House card. And then when it came out, people weren't blown away by it. But I'm like, yo, we're still getting Ilia Topuria
And Alex Pereira on the same
and
card.
Alex Bada on the same card. And Ilia is fighting Justin Gaethje. You know what I'm saying? Like I think we're just forgetting about what it is at the top, because at the bottom, everybody is a little was expecting something different or expecting a little more, but we're still getting Ilia Topuria versus Justin Gaethje. Like Justin Gaethje has been a hero to many. Let's not dog him now. Let's not disrespect him now and be like, oh, see, this card sucks. Like we're still getting Ilia Topuria and Justin Gaethje. Let's not dog Justin Gaethje now. He's our guy.
Yeah, I agree. And, for the people who were critical of this, like, me as a Canadian, I don't give a shit if the end of the White House card ends with an American getting knocked out. Like, and that's most of the rest of the world outside the United States. I'm sure some people might feel some sort of way about it. But also, if you look at the other side, like, if Ilia Topuria does something incredible on this platform in this main event, like, sky's the limit. Sky could already be the limit, but if he has his McGregor Aldo, McGregor Alvarez type of moment, type of performance that is just like so mind blowing, how can you not call that a win for the UFC? Yeah, maybe it's not the win for America's 250th birthday or whatever, but for the UFC for the future, like that's a huge moment.
Listen, man, I subscribe to the Genki Sudo
We are all
theme of
one.
life. We are all one, man. We are all one. And I don't just say that for convenience. I'm not just people use that for convenience. I say that for real. So it don't matter to me, man. Like I'm a fight fan. They're great fighters. They're in this spot, and we are all one. If Justin Gaethje, an American, get knocked out of the White House, man, we are all one. It don't matter to me.
Yeah, and exactly. You're highlighting one of the greatest fighters ever, and Ilia potentially he could be on that track. And I mean, Justin, like you said, I like how you broke it down. This is a tough fight, no matter how you slice it. And people are knocking him for just the chaos of the Paddy Pimblett fight, but I thought he maybe fought a little extra in that just because of the Paramount debut, and he wasn't too like worried about the threat Paddy presented him. So maybe he got ultra reckless. I'm not expecting that out of him. He knows this is his last chance, his last moment at glory, and he knows everyone thinks he's going to get killed in this fight. So if Justin Gaethje shows up and gets smoked, I think we're able to say the Monday after, like, that was the best Justin Gaethje who knew he needed to be here. And I don't think that diminishes Ilia's win at all.
Yeah, it won't diminish his win at all. And then we can move on from the conversations about all this other stuff. And then we can get, if Ilia is ever going to fight Islam, then we can move on to that. Or if Arman Sarukian, gets an opportunity, we can start moving on to that. But this is the fight to make for right now. And this is the fight that needs to happen.
Yeah. What do you think happens off this? I mean, let's take Islam off the table. Let's assume he's doing his own thing at welterweight and Ilia stays defending this. It's got to be Arman, right? I don't think the other option would be Charles Oliveira, but he's done a lot, but probably still not enough to warrant interest in a Topuria rematch.
I think we have to go Arman. I think that the antics of Arman outside of the UFC, it's kind of a double-edged sword. Now, while we might say it's hurting him, it's also kind of helping him. Like he's staying very relevant.
Mm-hmm.
He's staying very relevant. We haven't forgotten about him, and he's showing up. He's choking people out. He's beating people up. He's doing his thing. I think we have to go Arman at this point.
Yeah.
Like at some point, like that's the thing. Consistency wins every time. And it's not always great consistency, like just being consistent at whatever you're doing. And at some point, you have to give the guy a shot. Like you can't hold him off forever. So I think that we have to go Arman.
Yeah, Topuria versus Arman would be a huge fight. I wonder if the craziness happens, if Topuria somehow loses, is he a immediate rematch guy, even though he hasn't defended the belt, or do you think they do Gaethje versus Arman or Gaethje versus Oliveira?
That'll be pretty interesting. If Gaethje, it's like no one's ever like no one's even considering that, right? Like what happens if Gaethje does win? If Gaethje wins, like how do you give Ilia a rematch right away?
Yeah,
I don't think you could give him a rematch.
I mean, I wouldn't think it makes sense. He hasn't defended that title. He has one fight.
Yeah, I think you have to. I think either way, regardless, either way, you got to slide Arman into that spot for the next fight at lightweight.
Yeah, I could also see if Justin Gaethje pulls off this Hail Mary, him being like, "I am the American guy. I'm laying this belt down in my gloves in the center of the octagon on the White House lawn, and I've just achieved the highest high. Peace out." But we also know the money comes with defending that title, so maybe he can't walk away from that. But I could see that as like the proud American being his iconic moment, and then you do Topuria versus Arman for a vacant belt or something. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Dean, are you working the White House card? Have you got any details, any info? As a media member, UFC said nothing about like the credential process, all that. I know we're going to be welcome there fight week, but like I have no idea what the plan is.
I have no idea what's going on. I haven't spoken to anybody about it. Normally, I'm the last to know anything. I just call the travel people and just show up and work, man. Like I don't talk to anybody about that stuff. I just show up and do my job, man. I don't get in.
Are you hoping to? I guess the better question, or would you
honestly, like it's not a big deal to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not like I'm any less of an American. I'm more of a fight fan. Like I watch fights in the parking lot. Like it don't. Like I get it. Like it's a big deal to be throwing fights at the White House, but for me, it makes no difference to me where the fights are being held.
Yeah. Last thing on Topuria versus Gaethje, and this is completely tongue in cheek, but no one's really talking about what happens if the weather is bad, good, like either extremely hot or cold. A slippery mat, Justin Gaethje, KOs Ilia Topuria. I think that's like come into my world and let's just roll around and have bad traction on our feet. That's probably welcomed for Justin if that somehow goes
Yeah,
down.
yeah, that's gonna be tough because I did a fight once. It was actually I took a young fighter. Her name is K Rock, and she fought Pereira, uh, Pereira Rodriguez
Yep.
down in Panama
Hmm.
before Pereira was in the UFC, and the humidity was so bad that the mat that the flooring, and it was vinyl flooring. It was so bad. It was literally a slip and slide. And these are factors that we don't always consider.
Yeah.
So, if they're doing this fight outside and there's like crazy humidity or just like rain or something, like it could be a problem. Now, even though the flooring of the UFC is canvas, still the vinyl decals and logos and all that stuff, like it could be a bit of a problem.
Yeah. Well, you heard that take here first. If it does turn out to be super humid, that's my
Yeah.
that's my Justin Gaethje method to victory. Okay, Dean, let's close it out here. Obviously, there's only one fight remaining. It is Sean Strickland challenging Khamzat Chimaev for the middleweight title at UFC 328. Why is this your most anticipated fight? Because some people may say that they don't have high expectations for the fight, but the build will be incredible.
Yeah, in terms of what the fight might actually look like, it's not the best for me of what it actually might look like. I think in terms of what the best fight might look like in all these fights is Ilia Gaethje. But this fight, there's so much involved in it. One, why it interests me the most is because I didn't expect it to happen so soon.
Hmm.
It was like you didn't hear from Chimaev. Everybody's talking about how he weighs like 400 pounds. Like you don't know where he's at. And the next thing you know, they're like, yo, Chimaev's fighting Sean Strickland, in a couple months. You're like, what? Like, so it just, to me, it kind of came out of nowhere. And so like, that's one, I didn't expect it. Two, Sean looked so good in his last fight that I believe that he's capable of beating Chimaev, and he might be the only middleweight on the planet right now that's capable of beating Chimaev. If we had Nasruddin, for as great as he is, like I just didn't in my head, I couldn't see it happening. But I can see Sean Strickland doing it. Like he looked sharp as hell in his last fight. He looked amazing in his last fight. If he can carry that over into this fight, he might beat Chimaev. So, like, to me, that's intriguing to me. Also, what's intriguing to me is they have history. And that's partially one of the biggest factors that makes any fight interesting is history between the guys. They have history. They've trained together before. And they don't like each other.
Mm-hmm.
And when you consider that they might not like each other, it's probably somewhat real. Like a lot of guys fabricate the beef so that they can, sell it, or we're just trying to sell a fight. But you can tell that these guys probably don't really care for each other.
Yeah.
So that's interesting to me.
Yeah, it very much seems like they don't. I mean, those training sessions are becoming a little mythical now, but like no one's really talking too much about it. But I know Sean Strickland did an interview with the Schmo like the day after it happened, and the Schmo was maybe watching or something, and he was like, "How did I do in that training?" And Sean's like, "Yeah, he got me a couple times. Like I think he choked him or got him in a couple submissions." So that's the extent I know. I don't know like the sparring or anything like that, but I mean, would not surprise anyone that Khamzat submitted someone in a training session. I don't know if that carries over to the fight. That's what I'd expect him to happen. But yeah, it's very much got that vibe of like Sean Strickland knows something the rest of us don't. Like he called for that Fluffy fight late last year when I interviewed him, and he's like, "Give me the American Chimaev," is what he called him. Like everyone thinks Fluffy is all this and he can do this to all these people. I'm going to shut all that down and show him the perfect guy to beat Khamzat. And he went out there and did part A. And I'm seeing a lot of like fighters and stuff like that saying similar to what you said, that he has the tools to do this, but are we like underestimating the force Khamzat is and maybe just being a little forgetful because of the way the Drickus fight went?
No, I don't think we're underestimating. I mean, we all know how great Chimaev is. I mean, we just don't need to say it anymore because we all know it.
Sure.
Like we know how good he is. I mean, it's saying it is overkill. It's a bit redundant to talk about how good he is. I mean, at one time we thought he was the second coming. Like if he was more consistent, we would have been like, we would have been really high on this guy. But I just think that, for whatever reason, he wasn't all that consistent. He wasn't all that reliable. And then but we still never doubted his ability to fight and beat people. And in fact, I thought that with the exception of maybe Ilia, and that's just because Ilia just his last run, but with the exception of maybe Ilia, like he seemed to be like head and shoulders above everybody else in the division, like no one else in their respective divisions. Mm-hmm. Like he just seemed to be that much better than everybody else in his division. And there was no need to really reinforce that idea. So, but now it seems different. Now it seems like, wait a minute. You mean to tell me Sean Strickland is the guy? Yes, I'm telling you. Sean Strickland is the guy that might be able to beat him. And that's for as wild and I have a love-hate relationship with Sean Strickland's public persona, but for as wild as that is, his ability to fight is undeniable when he's on. Yeah. When he's on, his ability to fight is undeniable.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating. How ugly are you expecting this build to get? I mean, Sean Strickland, we know his lines. He'll call him a terrorist. He'll say he's like a rug puller when it comes to the crypto scams. And I feel like he said it all. I don't know how much new ammunition Sean Strickland has that he can pull out in the next 2 months, but like Dana White already said, we're going to need, extra security for these fights, for this press conference, things like that. Like, are you expecting us to get pretty personal? Is this the grudge match we haven't had in the UFC in a minute? Or is by the time we get to fight night, is it going to be like, just feel like a normal title fight?
No, I think it's going to be real ugly. I think they're going to need extra security. I think it can get real ugly for a couple different reasons, because Sean Strickland knows how to. Here's what Sean Strickland is brilliant at. He knows how to toe the line.
Debatable.
He can cross it sometimes, but not toe the line, but not cross it to the point where he gets canceled or where they're just like, we can't have this guy fight no more.
Yeah. Which you thought maybe like when he did media day for the fluffy fight, he had the whole thing about the Super Bowl halftime show and said some pretty nasty things there. And then there was the whole thing of people thinking the UFC cut his mic at the end of this press conference, wasn't, I don't think actually what happened, but whatever, you could take that how you want. The message is clear. They put him in a championship fight here. So like clearly they're not that upset with him unless.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, they're not going to censor people's beliefs or censor their talk. But we're here to watch fights, and we can't lose sight of that. Like, if you don't want to hear what he's got to say, just don't listen to when he's talking. Just watch him fight. He can fight, and that's how I treat it. Like, he can fight. I don't agree with almost anything he says, but he can fight, and I respect that, because that's what I'm in this business to analyze and study and watch and do. So he can fight. So, but here's the thing: Sean will take it to a certain level, and maybe, to me, not cross it to the point where they're not going to let him fight. He won't get that far, but Chimaev might, because I don't know if he has that skill.
Well, in terms of words, I'm not too worried about that, Khamzat saying, but his physical presence,
and that too,
short temper, like that,
and that too
could explode in that sense.
Yeah, and that too is like Chimaev might Sean's going to say some crazy wild stuff, and then he's going to leave it at that, and he's going to wait for the fight. But you just don't know what Chimaev and his people might do if they're like truly offended,
right?
Or what he might say or do if they're truly offended.
Yeah. Is that the right approach for Sean though? Right? Like, do you want to try to get Khamzat emotional and angry and maybe fight a little different, or is giving this guy any slice of extra motivation like a terrifying thought and maybe not a good idea?
I don't know if I would go that route. I would just, I would kind of maybe focus on my game and maybe not see if I can't rile this guy up anymore. because you just, like I said, man, you never know, man. You never know, man. You can't trust what he's going to do, right? And or not even him. He might got some goons with him that just like, yo, I don't care. You know what I mean? Like we gonna show up to Jersey and we gonna do what we got to do because I don't care. Like you don't know what these goons. Like, he might got some goons, man. So if I'm Sean, I'm gonna put on the show, but also too, I'm not gonna let it get too far.
Yeah, watch your six in
You
that
got to be
regard.
careful with that. Yeah, you
Yeah.
got to be careful with that.
One of the last things on this one, are we ready to give Khamzat any credit here? I mean, I see everyone being like, this is his second fight since the last time Ilia Topuria fought. And obviously, like, that's circumstantial. Ilia was going to fight in January. He had the personal stuff, but he'll have been out a year. Obviously, you made the famous comments that this title reign could be a disaster. Knock on wood, it's 2 months away, but assuming he gets to the fights, all that stuff, like, are we giving him any credit now, or is the 9 months since he won the title, is that too long? Like, how are you?
No, I'm gonna give him his credit. I'll give him his credit. I don't know what happened in the negotiations where they made this deal happen, but I'm gonna give him his credit. Like if 9 months is not that bad for a champion, but that's why I was surprised that this happened. I didn't expect this.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see this coming. I thought he was going to sit off and wait and wait and wait and wait and wait. So the fact that he is fighting Sean Strickland in Jersey, I'm going to give him his credit for accepting the fight and putting it out there and letting this happen. So now, if something does happen and he don't fight, I'm taking it back, Mike Bohn. I'm taking it back.
Yeah, that is fair. And I just wonder what this division looks like in the aftermath of this. I mean, even Khamzat a win here, like the Nasruddin Imavov fight, I don't know if he's going to fight someone else in the interim or what's going to happen here. But then you look below that, like Khamzat already has the win over Dricus. I don't really see like Israel Adesanya. Maybe if he beats Joe Pyfer, they throw him in there, but even then it'd be like 1-3 in the past 4. There's nothing like super sexy there. And we talked earlier about your Prochazka, Ulberg, maybe not having the clear next opponent. Like, is this a win here potentially setting up Khamzat's move up to light heavyweight, which he's made clear he wants to do at some point?
Yeah, I think it's definitely setting that up. I think if Khamzat wins, he's not fighting another middleweight. There's no way he's gonna, especially if he's gotten bigger. Like, you don't, especially when you get older and you're big, you don't. You're not like, yo, let me go on a diet so I can fight small. Like, no, you're like, yo, especially when you're talking about fighting light heavyweights that Alex is not a part of anymore. Like, yeah, of course you're going to move up and fight those guys. Like, that's what makes sense the most. Yeah. For sure, he's moving up after this.
Interesting. And if it goes the other way, are we ready for a second Sean Strickland UFC title reign?
I mean, if he wins this fight, he's earned it. If Sean Strickland can beat Khamzat Chimaev, he's earned the right to have another run and to say what he wants for a while, because it's not an easy thing to do, man. And like, you can't like, I won't silence him. I don't agree with what he says, but like, if he can beat Khamzat Chimaev, go ahead, take the mic, dog. Yeah. Take the mic. Say what you want, man. You beat Khamzat Chimaev. Say what you want.
Yep. And crazy fact, he opened against Khamzat as a smaller underdog than he did against Israel Adesanya in his first title shot. So that's like, it's a little bit of respect on his name, I think.
Yeah, no doubt. And like, we saw what he did against Izzy.
Yep.
So I don't know. It'll be interesting. Like, in terms of the fight itself, it has the potential to possibly be the worst fight of the other 4.
Sure. Yep.
But the intrigue of everything combined, to me, sells this fight. It makes it the most interesting fight for me.
Yeah, and I guess I'll reveal my list now too. I had that at number 1 as well, just because of all that. And I do think even if like it turns into a similar fight as Khamzat and Dricus du Plessis, Sean Strickland isn't going to take that lying down, quote unquote. He's going to be talking insane shit. He's going to be like, he's not just going to let himself get grinded out for 4 minutes and 30 seconds around without saying anything, without trying to prompt Khamzat, and maybe he has some different answers. So I think even if it's like a bad fight like that, Sean will make it entertaining, or Khamzat will make it entertaining by talking and doing little things like that adds to it. So I think full package, package. Yeah, I had that at number 1 as well. I had Alex Pereira and his fight with Ciryl Gane at number 2, just because the history element. I think the style matchup is quite fascinating. I had to have that too. 3, I had Topuria versus Gaethje. We went over that. 4, I had Bohn versus Taira, same as you. And then number 5, Jiri Prochazka and Carlos Ulberg. So we were fairly aligned, bottom of our list, but the top had a little bit of difference. But
Yeah.
I think we generally got it right. And I think that goes in tone with what everyone else is out there saying. It was crazy. The UFC's fight announcement post for Chimaev versus Strickland got 1 million views and or 1 million likes in 20 hours. And the White House post for that whole fight card had 650,000 in 5 days.
Oh, no kidding.
So
so that's, and to kind of circle back to what we spoke about in the beginning, that's the game, right? So, the White House card may not have blown people's socks off, but we got all these other fights. It's not just one night we're looking forward to. So that's my whole thing with the whole MVP thing is congratulations, man. You guys are going to put on an amazing night of fights for us to enjoy. But what else? Because I know the UFC got all this other stuff going on. So what else? So that's what I'm saying. For Ronda and all them knocking the UFC, the White House card, this, that, and the third. But we got stuff leading up to the White House, and we got stuff after the White House. So we rolling, baby.
Yeah, and we'll take it all with a grain of salt. We'll see what they can do. I hope the best for our whole sport. So I hope they can find their lane, and UFC is obviously well established in its lane. So we'll see how this all goes. But a nice second quarter slate here of fights. I'm pretty happy with how this is all shaken out. And we got some other good main events. I can't remember the last time, Dean. We have the next 12 main events already confirmed for the UFC. So a lot to discuss and look forward to over these next few months.
Yeah, come on, man. Joe Pyfer and Israel Adesanya, Aljamain Sterling, Youssef Zalal. Come on, man. We on the move, man. Like I said, these are my friends we're talking about. My friends is living good. So I love it. As long as my friends is eating and living good, I'm happy.
All right. Well, we hope you're eating and living good too, Dean. So
if I stand up, you'll see the stomach. You'll see I'm eating pretty good too, Mike Bohn.
All right, man. What you got coming up? You have Pyfer at the end of the month. Anything before then?
No, I'm working with Pyfer. Got him at the end of the month, and then right back to UFC BJJ, and then the next card with I think it's Chris Duncan and Moicano fighting.
Yeah.
April 4th, I'm working that event. So yeah, just staying busy, staying working, and just doing what I do. What I love to do, man, that's watch fights and talk about it.
Yeah, we I guess I do need to ask, we expected or hoped Kayla Harrison versus Amanda Nunes would land on the White House card. Obviously not the case. Any word or discussion about how much longer we could wait, where Kayla is? What are they telling Amanda right now?
I haven't heard much. She's doing her thing. She's still staying active, still in the gym, still working out. We've cut back the hard stuff for right now, just but she wants to stay active and stay fit, and just spend time with her family, and that's what I want her to do for now, because when the fight gets announced and we get closer, that it's going to be game time, and we gotta all love and respect to Kayla Harrison, but we try to take her head.
Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully that gets here in the later, International Fight Week in July seems like a great thing. We'll see where Kayla's at, though. The fact she hasn't done any media or talked about this at all is a little concerning, but we shall see, Dean. Thank you so much for the time, as always, man. I appreciate you. And I will take a quick break and be right back to wrap things up. That does it for another edition of the Bohnfire podcast. Thank you so much for Dean for his time, to all of you for listening, following, supporting. Means a lot. Thought that was a lot of fun, and we covered as much ground there as we possibly could given the time allotted. So appreciate everyone bearing with us through all that, and a lot of exciting things to come. This feels like a good time in the sport. I know the beginning of the year felt a little bit rough, but that very solid Apex card last weekend, I think, got our spirits up a little bit. Some actually good fights, entertaining fights, and just more of that, please. We need the fights to deliver. All the storyline, all the narratives can be what they are, and we can talk about them as much as we possibly want to, but the stuff that happens in the cage is important as all, in my opinion, and it all revolves around that. So hopefully that sets the table for UFC London on Saturday. We'll hopefully get another great fight card with a lot more to talk about. So you can check out interviews that I've done on Fight Week in relation to UFC London over on the MMA Junkie page, or on the MMA Junkie interviews tab on my YouTube channel. And I think that does it. We're going to have some more good shows coming through the rest of March and April. Got a little break from the travel here, which I do not mind at all, until I believe UFC 328 in Newark. So let's try to crank these out. Let's try to make some great content for you guys. So that is my goal for these next 2 months, and I will do the best to stick to that pledge. So appreciate everyone's viewership once again, for listening, for watching, whatever it may be. And until next time, I will see you all back here by the Bohnfire.